Hey, I'm Alex Fleming. This is Inner City Church Planting, where we deal with strategies, advice, encouragement for the kingdom of God. Whether you're in the suburbs, whether you're planting inner city, it doesn't matter. We're talking about biblical principles that translate anywhere and anyhow. And we just want to be a fellowship to you and a resource to you today at Inner City Church Planting. I'm here today with John Walters. John is a very good friend of mine. He's one of my coaches, one of my mentors. He is the founder of Missional Association. I cannot even, if I just do the intro on this guy, just kind of announcing him, that's going to be the whole show. You know what I mean? So I'm just going to let you know, this is John. And John, how's your day doing? How do you feel? We're so glad and excited that you're here today, man.
Well, I'm doing great. And I'm just excited to be here.
Man, we're glad to have you. John, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Just like kind of a real brief history of your experience in ministry and stuff like that.
Well, I was on staff at two different churches for about 30 years. One a pretty traditional Baptist church, and then another contemporary church. The second one, I was helping out doing missions and a lot of things, missions primarily. During a kind of a down time in the church where we were struggling just a little bit after rapid growth for several years, we just began to take a look back at ourselves and re-examine what we were doing and said, it's not about this growth, but it's about this and multiplying. Wow. And we decided we would set a goal of planting 100 churches in 10 years.
Wow.
We work with pastors of all denominations, all kinds of church plants, from house churches to the big church attractional models. And we don't say that there's any one right way to plant. But, each guy is designed by God to plant maybe a certain way, and we're there to help encourage them and then network all these guys together so that they're not out there by themselves, but they can do it together.
Praise God, man. That's so awesome. John, I got some quick questions that we want to ask that is going to be a benefit to the people, to the pastors. Question number one, why do you think it's important for a church planter to be a part of an association or network?
Well, I think it's really important that you're not alone when you plant a church.
Yeah.
I've worked with some guys that they call them parachute drop, and they'll just drop into a city without knowing anybody, and that's very, very difficult.
Yeah. And
so even a couple of guys in our network were out there alone, and they heard about us, and so they said, hey, we need somebody. But doing this on your own, doing it with a group is hard enough. Yeah. Doing it by yourself is almost egotistical, and it is so difficult. You need a band of brothers. You need a core team, first of all, within your church to develop it, and that's hard to develop when you don't know anybody. But you also need other guys outside to encourage you, because you're going to run through some problems and some downtimes, and doing it with a group, whether it's an association that provides you finances, that's huge.
Yeah.
And some guys aren't fortunate enough to do that, and so we want to help kind of mend that gap sometimes. Even if you are with an association, we can provide some networking and coaching also. But financial gain, encouragement, to hold you accountable. When you're out there alone, nobody's holding you accountable for anything. And so you can be all over the map. So it's important that you, just like Tiger Woods, getting coaching, just like a player in a baseball team. He's got his coaches also. Your elder board, you need to be held accountable by a group of people. And so a network can do that. It can provide you a lot of different things.
Yeah, and Missional Association, guys, look that up online, because that's the association that I'm a part of as well. And everything that John said right now, it's a blessing to me. It's been a blessing to me, and when you're blessed, your church is going to be blessed. When you got that covering, when you got that wisdom, that uplifting, man, your church, they're going to know, man. And just to add on to that question, they're going to know when you're struggling. They're going to know when you're having that down day, and when you're doing, you're preaching to them, or you're ministering, or you're counseling, man, you need to be, man, with the Spirit of God, you need to be just right on it. They need to see your confidence. And a lot of times, man, we could fake it only so far, fake it till you make it. But with an association like that, man, I don't got to fake anything with John. I can tell John, man, I felt like quitting yesterday. You know what I mean? I felt like, and John, talked me back and put some sense back into me. So yeah, Missional Association and everything that John just said is a living proof of that. So I just want to.
And a lot of times when you're planning a church, you're in the church, you can't go to one of your members.
Yeah.
And unload all of this.
Yeah, that's right.
Because in 3 days it may be all over the place.
Yeah.
So, Coach will provide you a way of downloading, and what you say to me stays with me.
Yeah.
And so you can say anything, and you can hopefully trust them. Sometimes even in a denomination, a lot of times the denominations will provide a coach.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's even difficult to share with that guy some of your struggles. You should be able to, but a lot of times you're afraid to, because they're providing you with finances, and they don't.
That's a good point.
You're thinking, well, they don't need to know that I'm on the brink of resigning.
Yeah.
And I can't tell them that.
Yeah.
So it's great to have an outside person to be able to share, your struggles and pray with and encourage you.
Yeah. And this, man, I'll go to the next question, because we could stay on this question for a good while. But that right there, not being fake about it, and that's what this inner city church planning and MA, Missional Association, is about. We're not going to bring kind of the presentation, the sugar-coated. This is the real stuff, guys, and you got to be real with yourself, and you need to know, man, you know what? I need this because I go through this, and I tell you, God does not, I just want to encourage you, God does not count you out, or He doesn't disqualify you because you have those feelings, man. You're human, and God understands that. But God has people, man, mentors. He has coaches that can, lift you up in that time when you need it. John, what does a coach do, and exactly, and how does that help the church planter?
Well, a coach can do multiple things, but one of the biggest thing is encouragement.
Okay.
And they'll provide you, or at least I do, when you're at your lowest point, and there'll be times, and every church planter will go through these times when things aren't going as expected. And so a coach is there to help remind you of really why you're there.
Yeah.
And lift you up and encourage you in those times. A coach can also help you with a certain issue that you have. I've got this one person and I'm having a problem. What do I do? So a coach is there not necessarily to give you all the right answers, but to help you come up with the answer yourself.
Wow.
That's the true coach method. And then they're there also to help hold you accountable. So at the end of a meeting, there ought to be a plan of action, and so the next time when we meet, what are you going to have accomplished? Yeah. So those are the things that a coach can do.
And that's something that I've experienced, in our own, mentor-mentee relationship, is not that specific. Do this. You got to do it like this, and that's it. Because knowing that, and even with church strategy, knowing that each church, each place that you're planted is different than the next, but pulling out, giving advice in a way that it pulls out the answer out of you, right, actually does more for you, for me, in the long run than just give me the answer, thank you, boom.
Now, if you're hiring a consultant will be there to help you and they'll give you all the answers. They'll do A, B, C, D. This is what you got to do. But a coach is there to help you come up with the answer.
Wow.
The coach is not a consultant.
Yeah.
Now I may put on my consultant hat and give you some advice sometime.
Yeah.
But really, a true coach is not supposed to do that.
How does a church planner find a coach, man? If we can talk about that. I'm a new church planner. I'm just getting in it. I don't know. I'm a parachute, like you said. Obviously this what we're doing here in Missional Association and Inner City Church Planning, but you're just boots on the ground. What's the first thing a church planner can do to find that mentorship?
Well, I think you can look online for coaches, but I think the best thing is just to start asking pastors. Who's your coach? Sometimes existing pastors are great coaches. They all should be coaching somebody.
Yeah.
And so pastors can do it. There are associations like Missional Association that provide coaching. I know Plant in Austin is one great organization that you can find some coaching. But denominations, pastors, just begin to ask.
Wow. So what I'm gathering is, guys, don't isolate yourself. You go do it and start asking, man. Be humble and just start asking, and God's going to send you that coach that is going to be perfect for you in your situation and what you're trying to do. John, what are the 3 biggest keys of advice that you would give to a church planner, whether it's encouragement, whether it's a strategy, whether it's instruction? What are the 3 top things that you can say that a church planner needs this, or they need to know this?
First of all, I don't give advice. I'm a coach.
Okay, there you go. What are the 3?
No, if I put on a consultant hat, okay, now I'll tell you. I think, I mentioned don't do it alone. That's huge. The second thing is there will be times when you will not meet expectations. People will disappoint you. You won't have as many people as you think you should have on a Sunday or a month or a year.
Yeah.
And another thing that you're going to run across is that you're going to have people leave your church very unexpectedly. Many of the core group that you start with, you think you're going to do church together forever. In 30 years you're going to be old doing it together with this group, and they're not going to be with you in 2 years. So you're going to lose a lot of people that you invest a lot of work, hard sweat, tears. One day they may get up and go to another church. I've had many pastors come to me and say, I can't believe so-and-so just went down to the next church down around the corner. After all of this, they've been with me.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason. And we have a lot of different churches all around, and it may be their 12-year-old daughter, wanted to go to their friend's church.
Yeah.
Who knows? But there are all kind of reasons. So you can't let that get you down. And there'll be other people that you're going to minister to. So just know that you're going to have people for a season.
Yeah.
And you've got to think this way. Okay, I've got this family for 3 years, maybe max. What am I going to do to get them? And what do they look like when they leave spiritually?
Wow. Yeah.
And then back up from there with the end in mind of the family, how they're going to walk with Christ as they leave your church to go to the next church or to the mission field or wherever. And then back up and say, how do I get them to that point? What is the discipleship? What are the strategies to disciple that whole family to the point where I know that they're mature believers? And what does that even look like when they leave?
Wow.
You know, those are the things, and so if you focus on that, when they leave, you can celebrate them going.
Yeah.
Instead of crying and worrying about it, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that will relieve a lot of the pressure off of you. You know, instead of holding on to everybody, you know, knowing that you've got a season with them and releasing them to let them do the work that you've prepared in them.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point with the end in mind of what they're going to look like spiritually, because so many times our goal is how many people we could get in the church, how you know what I mean? And a lot of times, you know, church planner, and I'm guilty of it too. Everything I'm saying is because I'm guilty of it too. This is, like I said, this ministers to me too. So, you know, but a lot of times my church being filled blesses me. And it's more for whether it's ego, it's more for whether it's to build self-confidence, whatever the case may be. It may be a vain motive. It may be I need to feel appreciated, whatever it is. A lot of times that can be a church planner's goal, instead of the reason we bring them in is for that, instead of what you just said right now that is so important. How are they going to look when they leave 3-4 years, a year from now? Are they going to be further along in their walk for Christ? And if that is our goal, then I believe, man, in the name of Jesus Christ, that the people are going to come regardless. Hey, go to this, you know.
And if you have a packed church and they're not growing anything, I mean, you're doing a disservice to those people.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah, yeah. So
your responsibility is to make disciples.
Wow. Awesome. Yeah. John, there's two terms out there in the church planting world: missional and organic. What's the difference? What do they mean to you? Is one better than the other? If I'm a church planter, which one should I go with? What is that? Can you help us out there?
Well, I think they mean a lot of different things to different people. When you say missional and organic, they're almost similar. And I think they're used in terms, a lot of times, as opposed to the attractional model of church that we're so used to in the United States.
Yeah.
Where you go and plant a church in the suburbs, you build a nice church, or you rent a place, you put out a sign, you pass out flyers in the neighborhood, you know, you do some advertising, you got your core team, and you open the doors and say, come. And so everything you do is to attract people to come to your church.
Yeah.
So in the kind of the new model now, through, as the term missional and organic implies, is that you're going out, you're not calling people to come to you necessarily. Okay. You're taking the message to them. That's where the mission part.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I would say that you are an organic missional planner.
Okay. Thank you.
Because you initially had the idea, I'm going to plant it in the suburbs, in a movie theater, you know, a little ways away from where I live. But you realized that maybe I believe that it was God speaking to you.
Yes.
That He spoke into your life and said, no, I want you planting where you grew up, in the inner city, because they need it more than anybody. And that we have a void of church plants in the inner city because everybody wants to go out and plant out in the suburbs where it's nicer, you know.
Yeah.
And so we left the inner city, and that's one of the reasons why the inner city is the way it is now. So you chose, and I loved what you said to me. You said, you know, I looked around and decided I wasn't going to plant a church. I wasn't going to be pastor of a church. I'm going to be the pastor of the neighborhood. That's organic. That's missional and organic.
Okay.
Because you're going in.
Yeah.
And so the organic part is, you know, we have organic food. So the organic food is, you know, not tainted with chemicals, and it's a natural thing.
Ooh, yeah. Okay. Yes.
So the church planting world, you know, maybe organic is pure,
Wow.
for one thing. It's
Yeah.
not motivated by, I've got to make a lot of money, so I
Yes,
got to have
yeah.
a big church. It's a more of a pure form
Wow.
of ministry.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
part of organic. I see it also is more small groups and working in the cell group model.
Yeah.
Instead of attracting a lot of people, getting them all to come to a big church, and then maybe breaking up into Sunday school or cell groups, you would instead have start off with small groups, cell groups,
Yeah. Okay.
and work in those cell groups. And the missional part is that they're not there to serve themselves. It's not totally instructional or even spiritual growth, but that I am going to grow spiritually so that I can impact my world missionally.
Well,
Okay?
Yeah.
So those small groups, are not just studying the Bible. They're not just coming together for
They're
prayer
going out.
either. Yeah, they're going out.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So they're working together and they have a mission, and they come together for prayer and Bible study, but they're also coming together to do something.
Yes.
And then from those missional groups, maybe from those small groups, then they can get together in a larger group, sometimes once a month, maybe weekly, but that's a little different model than
Yeah.
what we're used to. So it's going from the micro maybe to the bigger instead of from the macro into the micro.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes. Total sense. You said something. The mission. They're on the same mission. So many times we get in the where, okay, I got it now. If you're a church planner, a year, 2 years in, it's like, okay, I kind of have this figured out, and now you're just going with the flow. You're going out of protocol, and you can forget the reason why we're meeting is because we got a mission,
Right.
and that is for souls saved and disciples made.
Right.
And wow, that just really opened up a lot right there, man.
Now-
Being missional, on
Well-
mission.
Church for the longest time is we're in a consumer culture.
Yeah.
And it's all about me.
Yeah.
And I can go to any church I want. And, if they're not serving me just the right messages I want, I can go down to the corner,
Yeah.
And that's what we're used to in our culture. I think many of the pastors now who are thinking a little more missional are saying in preaching that it's not about you, it's about God. And it's not about how many we can have in the church, how much money we can raise so that I can get a better car. Or it's not even about how many blessings that I can get.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many blessings that you can get.
Yeah.
But it's how do I grow so that I can be a blessing to somebody else.
Wow.
And it's not about anymore about growing my church. It's about impacting my neighborhood and changing the world.
My goodness, yes. And that's what Jesus did.
Yeah.
And that ultimately is the model to follow.
Right.
It's not about growing my man. What a great statement. It's not about growing my church. It's about what do you say? Blessing my neighborhood, transforming my neighborhood, being out missional in the neighborhood. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Guys, man, I hope that this session blessed your heart as much as it did mine. Like I said, each session, man, I love to do these things because it's fun and we get blessed. Look up Missional Association. If you're out there, you need a coach, you need some advice, look up Missional Association. John Walters, you can like him on Facebook. He's John Walters. You go to Dante Banks' Facebook or mine, Alex Fleming. We're friends with John Walters. And get in touch with this guy because what he's done in my life, the way he's blessed Dante's as well, and a lot of other pastors in the MA Association, man, we want to share that with you. Don't be alone. Do not be alone. Get some mentorship. Remember your mission and get out there and get out of protocol and do what God has called you to do. Thank you, guys. I hope that you're blessed by this. We'll see you with our next episode soon. God bless you.